All right, it's live. It took forever to go live, like a good 3 minutes. Hi, if you're watching me on the replay. My name is Celeste. I'm a therapist from Boston. Every single Wednesday, I come on to record my bonus episode. I have a podcast called Celeste the Therapist Podcast, and it streams literally on all podcasting platforms. I have two podcasts that air a week. One of the podcasts, I talk to people that are doing things to empower other people, and then the bonus episodes, which I do on YouTube, whereas I talk about an issue and then I kind of bring up solutions and ways in which we can deal with it. So I'm going to press play to go live on to record the podcast. All right. Hey, beautiful people. Thank you so much for joining another episode of Celeste the Therapist Podcast. My name is Celeste. I'm a therapist from Boston. If you've never been in here before, you've been missing out. We are actually on episode 153. That means that I've recorded 153 episodes. Whoop, whoop. And we are in season 3. And I talk to people who are doing things to empower other people. Every single Monday during the season, you get an episode with somebody new. The last Monday of every month, we are discussing relationships. And this past Monday, I actually talked about being toxic and feeling stuck but unable to leave. So if you haven't checked out that episode and you want to kind of understand the reasons why people stay in toxic relationships, along with some really solution focused ways to get out of a toxic relationship, definitely check that episode out. So today, what are we talking about? We're talking about if your ambitions match your actions. This is something that I don't think we think too much of. I meet a lot of people who have a lot of ambition and who have a lot of goals in life and for their personal goals, for everything. But the one thing that is not matching up with their ambition is the action steps that they're taking to get to that point. And one of the things that I'm very passionate about people, especially entrepreneurs, because I'm an entrepreneur who didn't grow up in a household where I had a bunch of entrepreneurs before me. So I'm really, really, really mindful and conscious of how much we stop ourselves from growing, where we are saying what we want and we're portraying this image, but deep down inside, it's not working out. So one of the things that I want to do, so if you haven't been here before, I kind of talk about these issues and then I bring up solutions. One of the things I tell people is that if it's really important to you, you will find a way. And if not, you will find an excuse. And so I ask people, how important are you to yourself? And when you think about it, a lot of people will say, yes, I love myself. Yes, I want the best for myself. And they logically believe that, but emotionally, internally, they are not there yet. And this emotional internal part goes back to childhood, goes back to what somebody said to you, goes back to your experiences, all of those unprocessed experiences, all of those unprocessed things that were said to you, they actually keep you stuck in a way where your actions aren't matching up with what is happening inside, because what's happening inside is a lot of mess. So think about how much energy that you spend doing things for other people, right? How much energy are you spending on doing things outside of you? A lot of us may have a job that we're dedicated to, which we will do, and we will do the best of our ability because we really need that job to survive. And most of us grew up in systems where surviving is pretty much all that we do, it's all that we know. We may say that we want more out of life, or we want to live and not just survive. But the things that we're doing to live is not adding up with what we're saying that we want. So one of the things people will say to me is that they don't always have motivation to, work on the things that they know they should work on. There's no motivation there. Sometimes there's these spurts where they get fired up and they have these small wins. And those small wins, unfortunately, don't tend to feel like they're sustainable or they last for a long period of time. So one of the things that I'm going to do is kind of talk about solutions if you feel like this is your struggle. And so one of the things I'm clear about is that I can't give you motivation. I can't be in your ear every day. You can listen to my podcast twice a week or every day. But at the end of the day, you have to be intentional on creating that motivation or finding that motivation. And I'm going to tell you how it works. And I'll tell you how it worked for me. So, one thing that is important is creating routine and discipline, right? The systems that you are creating in your life will allow you to start to match up with what you want the insides to be. So, right now, inside, let's just say you want to do something, but inside there's a lot of fear. Let's say you always find yourself feeling like I can't really do it at night. Maybe during the day, you might get some motivation when you're around certain people. You get motivation. Then sometimes when you're by yourself, you second guess yourself, you second guess your decision making. So you're wrapped up in your head. And so, one thing that is important is to create some discipline and routine around your day, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to take over the faulty thinking that you have had for probably forever, for a long period of time. I said this before, when we were babies and we were trying to walk, we kept getting up and we kept walking because the goal was always in front of us. We consistently seen people walk all the time. When it comes to our vision and goal, there's nothing in front of us. We're not creating systems, we're not creating routines so that we can consistently see it over and over again. And so, if you can create some kind of discipline where you wake up first thing in the morning, you start to maybe you work out, maybe you meditate, maybe you are intentional about writing down what you're going to do for the day, right? And then during the day, creating those tasks. At the end of the day, checking off that task list. What didn't get done? What are you going to do tomorrow? Are you creating discipline and routine, right? Because if you are creating discipline and routine, these habits that you're creating, whether or not you're motivated to do the work, because you've created a system and because you've created a routine and it becomes a habit, you start to do it anyway. I remember when I was younger, my mom would always like, brush your teeth. You got to brush your teeth, right? She was always on us. And there are times where I didn't feel like brushing my teeth. Now it's such a habit for me, even if I'm dead tired, even if I'm sleepy, brushing my teeth is second nature. I brush my teeth like I blink my eye, right? I created that habit because it was always in my ear. When it comes to the things you're trying to do, your ambition for life, no one's going to be in your ear and say, Celeste, you got to do this. Celeste, you got to do that, right? Because I know nobody's going to be in my ear telling me that I have to do this and do that, I have to create systems so that I'm able to do that. That's how you work on creating habit. That's how you work on creating routine. And the more you start to embody that routine, the more discipline you get with that, you will be so surprised at how much ideas start to flow through you and the motivation will be there. Another way that I've been able to create motivation is by having a spirit of gratitude. I cannot and stress to you enough how much having a spirit of gratitude can really change the narrative of the way that you're viewing yourself. So when I talked a little bit earlier about how we'll have some small wins and we'll be on this high, and then maybe something happens where a door closes or a deal that we thought we were going to make didn't happen, or somebody said no, right? When those happen, because they will happen, because one thing about goals and ambition and the things that we're trying to do is that it's not a straight line. There's going to be a lot of zigzags. And so how do I prepare for those zigzags? How do I prepare for the no's? How do I prepare for the doors that are being shut on me? I prepare for them by making sure I have a spirit of gratitude. So if I'm mindful and grateful for the little things that are happening, when those no's happen, they won't feel so hard. They won't crush me so much because I'm reminded of what I have. And a way that you can work on creating a spirit of gratitude, when I talked about the routines and discipline, one thing you can start with is like having a gratitude journal. That's pretty much getting a notebook from the dollar store, taking time out your day to write 3 things that you're grateful for, right? So even if it's a hard day, I'm grateful that I have food. I'm grateful that I have my right mind. It doesn't have to be nothing major, right? It could be any little thing. I'm grateful that I can walk. I'm grateful that I can see. And you will be surprised at how much those blows that tend to happen in our lives, because they're going to happen. One thing about life is that there's so many ups and downs. I've accepted that. I said, you know what, Celeste, life is full of ups and downs. But what I don't accept is I don't accept staying down, right? And what I do, and with myself, with my kids, is I prepare myself for those downs. I prepare myself. Having a spirit of gratitude is huge. Understanding how I feel, understanding how things are affecting me is huge. Because if that no affects me to the point where it stops me from completing my goal, that's a problem. And so many times things have not worked out the way we expected it to work out. Somebody has said no, somebody's crapped on our ideas. And because we're not mindful on how much the conversation affected us, how much that no affected us, it has literally stopped us in our tracks and prevented us from moving forward. So if this is something that you find has been helpful, giving you some insight into the way that you've been operating or the way that you have gone on about your goals or the ambition or the things that you're trying to do, guess what? You can start working on making changes today, right? I just gave you some actionable steps that you can take to start this process, right? So wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this, don't just let this stop and let this be the end of it. Take out your phone, put a reminder in your calendar to buy a notebook, put a reminder in your calendar to wake up early and write down the 3 things that you're grateful for. Put a reminder in your calendar to create a schedule every day, to start creating discipline, to start creating routine. The way that you want things to happen in life is not going to fall in your lap, right? Unfortunately, with social media, with the internet, it appears that everything's happening for everybody else except for us, right? Everybody else is growing, everybody else is winning while I'm here and I'm not winning, I'm not growing. It appears that way, but that's just not the case. Things don't just come together like that. And as you're trying to create this discipline, as you're trying to create routine, understand that your mind and your body is going to fight you from trying to do that because it's not the norm. It's going to say, "Do you really think you need to wake up that early, Celeste?" That's what it says to me sometimes. "Do you really think you need to wake up that early?" I told myself like I'm not a morning person. I was like, I'm not going to wake up early. I'm not a morning person, right? When I told myself that, but guess what? I wake up early now. Guess what? I work out early now. I create these goals early in the morning, right? I check off these tasks. The things that I thought I couldn't do, I start doing them. As I was starting to do them, nothing about it felt good. Nothing about it feels good. In fact, when I wake up in the morning now, nothing about that part feels good. I'm in the bed 5:30 in the morning because I try to wake up before I get my kids up. I'm going back and forth like, you could get 5 more minutes of sleep. Or like, maybe you can do it later in the afternoon. I go back and forth in my head and then I get up, I do it. Guess what? I've never regretted waking up early. Never regret creating a task. Never regret creating a list of things that I'm grateful for. Nothing about the routine that I do. It doesn't feel good, but when I do it, nothing about it is something that I regret doing. And because I didn't grow up in this like atmosphere, it's not embodied in me. It's not something that has been a habit of mine. My mind and my body fought that way of living, right? So now that I've created the system where I learned how to live, I'm not just operating on survival mode. So if you're somebody that's listening to this and you have struggled with creating routine, you have struggled with creating systems in your life, understand like the struggle of creating the system and creating a routine is a part of the process, right? It's not going to just like come together and feel good. In the same way, I say this a lot, but I know I always have new listeners, but the same way, if I had a bad heart and I got a heart transplant, this new heart is good, is healthy for me. But guess what? My body's going to reject it. My body's rejecting it because it's a foreign object. So even though I'm trying to help you learn how to live and not survive, living is healthy for you, right? There's peace when you're living. But your body's going to reject it because it's always been in survival mode. So the more that you are doing and embodying the way in which you want to live, your mind and your body will have no other choice but to fall in line. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that makes sense. If anything I would say resonates for you, understand you have the power to make the change. Like you have power. You have so much power, more than you can ever realize. If you want to support me in the podcast, you can share this episode with somebody that you love. Share this episode. Also, you can rate me on anywhere that you listen to podcasts. you can rate me because that will help me a lot. You can follow me on any social media site. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube. I record these episodes live on YouTube. And you can purchase merchandise from my store, celestatherapist.com/shop. I have a relationship goals course. If you're struggling in your relationships, I created a course that you can do from the comfort of your own home. And I'm going to be in California May 9th to have a live podcast. I'm also working on creating a show for Chicago in April or June. I'll let you know when, but we'll be in Chicago and we will be in California. Yes. So I'm so excited and I cannot wait to meet everybody. So I will talk to you guys later. Bye. Okay. That was good. Yay! Get in here. Hi. Don't stop talking. Oh, I wasn't looking over here, Rose. What's up, Righteous? So, and I didn't take notes about what I wanted to say on the thing about. I didn't take notes about what is it called, like housekeeping notes or whatever. So I was trying to remember in my head. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking out with me always. Like, I'm so grateful. Like, I say that because I'm really grateful. So I will see you guys next Wednesday. And don't forget to rate me on any podcasting platform. If you listen to this podcast on the podcasting app, make sure you rate me. All right. Love you guys. Long time.